So when I moved back, I realized that daughter-in-laws of this family don't work. The perception was that, oh my gosh, you guys are so affluent, but your daughter-in-law has to go to work to earn money. So it was completely unacceptable.
Have you seen this movie Brave?
Of course, yeah. The one with the crazy mad girl. I mean, that's why you're thinking of Brave. It's my hair.
What aspect of that is true for you when it comes to your childhood?
It was a space and a time and a decade of just no self-expression.
If I had to ask you, give me one line as to what writing is to you.
My agenda when I'm writing is very different from maybe what another person's is. It's about getting to the destination. What's the max miles can I do? 400 kilometers today. But for me, I realized I love to see, I love to stop, I love to speak to the dhaba wala and the chai wala. I'm really interested in what does your everyday look like for you.
Welcome back to The Passion Project, a series under the Athayush Way, where we meet people who have found a way to nurture something that truly moves them, and in doing so, create memorable experiences that help others heal, grow, and reconnect with themselves. On that note, we have someone truly special with us whose life reflects this in the truest way possible. She has not only built a successful career in the corporate world as an independent behavior skills specialist, but also explored a different calling, something that's more quieter, more personal, and deeply rooted in human connection. Mandy, I am so happy to have you on this show because the Passion Project is something that I believe is a space where people can show what they have built over their lives, and not just from the point of view of say कि पढ़ाई करना है, नौकरी करना है, कुछ कमाना है, but where alongside all the responsibilities of life, they have held true to themselves and not given up on what really makes them beautiful, unique, special individuals. And then taking it forward to touch the lives of others. And I can't think of anyone better than you who's doing this. So thank you so much for, being here and supporting us with your presence.
I'm so happy to be here, Murphy. And thank you so much for the introduction. Makes me want to get to know myself better.
Well, I'm glad that it evoked those, because I think all of us, irrespective of who we may be and what kind of setup we belong to, a strong part of our lives is about constantly understanding who we are. Because come on, I mean, we thought we knew ourselves when we were 20s, and then 30s came, we were like, hey, ye kaun hai? And then 40s came, was like, hey, tum kaun ho? So it's like we're constantly changing. But then every phase of our lives led us to be where we are and, become who we are. The same but different.
Yeah.
So I need to tell all of you this, that one of the reasons why she's here is because she has lived a life from hailing from a simple middle class family to living like a queen to discovering passions such as bike riding. And when I say bike riding, I don't mean like a cycle, I mean proper mountains, biker, helmet, everything. Painting, where her soul just finds a way to express itself on canvas.
Yeah.
And crocheting. And man, can she crochet. And if I'm not wrong, you've won some award on this.
I have a Guinness World Record for crochet. Yeah.
So we'll get back to that. So yeah, I mean, she has done all this, and now she's on this amazing mission to connect with women, especially women who are in the middle stage of their life, facing perimenopause, menopause, and not that that's a defining character, but basically an age where responsibilities take a shift in life and one's role kind of gets vague and ambiguous. Am I right?
It is. It's a scary space for a lot of women. And it's very special to me, I think, because of everything that I went through when I was, making that shift. It's a real pivot, really. When you hit your 45 and your 50s, it's very different from the way, like you were sharing in your 20s, we're all crusaders. We're out to change the world. It's very different when you're in your 50s.
And that's why, it's amazing to meet someone like you, because you have found a way to navigate that, and not just for yourself, but to share with other women. But to understand that better, we're going to deep dive a little bit into your life.
Oh, I can't wait.
So I want to understand, I know that every aspect of one's life leads them to who they are today. What aspect of that is true for you when it comes to your childhood? Because the passion that you are moving forward with I'm sure that the roots run deep, and it comes from a space where you first belonged.
Yeah, I think if I think back to my childhood, Murphy, it was a space and a time and a decade of just no self-expression. I think that's what I remember most about my childhood is just not being able to say anything, being invisible. And nobody really cared. It was unfortunately not a very happy childhood, and I think somehow I've translated all of that, especially in my late 40s and 50s, into being in full self-expression. So
So,
that
if I have to understand better, like, did you belong to a joint family or were you part of a nuclear family? Was it how many siblings are you? Like, give us an idea of what your family was made of so that we understand how it affected you.
So I grew up in a middle class family, and I grew up in the Middle East. I was there for almost 30 years of my life.
Your childhood was there.
Yeah, yeah. So I have an older brother. I've lost him now, and I have an older sister and a younger. So we're a four, and we also grew up in a very nuclear family. It wasn't like we had a lot of people around us and a lot of cousins and chachas and mamas and all of that. Not really so much. And I think that's actually, yeah. But I think about my childhood, I do retrospect with some bit of sadness because there was a lot of violence in my childhood. And when you grow up in an abusive or a violent household, what happens is you really you shrink yourself and your life.
You hide.
You hide, yeah. You don't want to be seen, don't want to stir up anything that causes trouble. So yeah, from someone who had just almost no self-expression, I didn't know who I was. I had no idea, who I was.
And a lot of energy was just focused on keeping yourself hidden and safe.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a tough time. But I think now, what happens is I think when you connect the dots, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be who I am today if all of that I hadn't been through. And it also creates a lot of empathy.
I mean, it's kind of reminding me of this analogy, like of Buddhism, that it's only in the murkiest of waters that a lotus blooms.
So I actually practiced Buddhism for 16 years myself, and a lotus will only bloom in a muddy pond.
Yeah. So your childhood was the murky waters, I can say. And maybe there's more, but when did this shift? When did this personality, which was hidden, which was just keeping to herself, when did it start coming out?
So when I finished school, I moved out of Kuwait. I left the family, I moved to India, stayed in a hostel. So it was radical and freedom and all of that. And yeah, I think when I hit college and hostel, it was
What are you doing in college?
new. So I went to design school, art school, and so yeah, I spent almost 4 years there
And where
learning advertising. This is in Delhi.
in Delhi? Where?
In Delhi.
Like,
So I moved. This is Maharani Bagh.
okay.
So yeah.
So the first time in Delhi?
Well, I've been in Delhi many years now. So yeah, I moved to Delhi for college, got married, went back and spent another 10 years in Kuwait. Like I hadn't learned my lesson already.
No, but when you came to college, this was your first time in Delhi.
Away from, yeah, almost my first.
So how was it? How was this shift, this new place?
It's a humongous cultural shift. And for me, even more so, because I came from a place where I was so protected and my whole life was just really in my house because we didn't get out so much. And then here, you're going to college and you're living in a hostel, you're just managing life by yourself. And I remember back in the days, because I went to college in the 90s, right? And I would be hanging from matadors. And so it was an adventure. I loved it. I never wanted to go back.
And that is where you met your husband now?
Yeah, we started dating in college.
Same college you guys went?
No. So it's a long story actually. So we're both from the Middle East, but we didn't know each other back in Kuwait. And I had moved a year before. So Kuwait was invaded. I don't know if you guys know this, in the 90s. And so he had come here. Everybody, all of us, all the Indians moved back to India. And so, yeah, we were all refugees actually. And that's how we met.
Okay.
And then, of course, in a year or so, he headed back because liberation happened very fast. And then he headed back and I stayed here to finish college.
And this was like the first love?
Yeah, I don't know if it was the first love, but yeah, it's the one that stuck. That I knew it was right.
So, did you have, like, after college, did you get placed, you got into a job? Like, what was your trajectory after?
Yeah, so then after college, I got typically, because I'd done commercial art. So the next thing is to move into an advertising agency. And I loved it. I loved that space because it was so creative, so it really nurtured all of that art and design and everything that I wanted to do. So I did college. I was very ambitious. I think as most people are in you're 19 and you're 20 and you want to change the world, and then you're in the space of media and advertising anyway. There's so much of exposure, right? And yeah, I was out to revolutionize the world. And then I met Bob, and I was the first girl to get married out of college. Nobody could believe it, I was the first one to get married.
So, this independent life of yours where you want to change the world,
Yeah.
it kind of ran its course very quickly.
yeah, I think as long as I was in college, and then of course, when you fall in love, it gives you, everything changes, right? Your whole perspective, the way you want to play game, And so we made a choice, and we were very young, both of us.
Yeah, I was going to ask that, like, why
We were
get
very young.
married so early, or was it something that was common, like everyone was getting out?
No, not really, not really. I mean, we did get married, back then people did get married in their early 20s only. But I think for me, what it was because, so liberation of Kuwait happened. He moved back because they had to restart their whole business. And I was still here and I had started working then, but it just wasn't working for us, Him being here most of the time, the business needed him there. And
Like
thought-
full on long
I
distance
thought,
relationship.
it was a full on long
In a
distance
time where there was no
relationship.
internet.
Yeah, we didn't have mobile phones. What are you talking about? There was
Chithi likho.
literally, I have those letters still, and so we had to make a choice. Either we break up or we get married, and I moved to Kuwait.
They decided to get married.
I decided to get married.
Back then.
Yeah.
And then what happened? Because Kuwait's your home. I mean, it would not have been that difficult a transition, was it?
Wow. I had no idea. So of course I married for love, Murphy. Like I fell in love, and it was so beautiful then. And it was not just him also, it was his family. Like I didn't just fall in love with him. I really fell in love with the family, because you have to kind of, look at the whole picture. Because I grew up completely loveless, as an environment, as a family environment at home. And here, when I would go visit him, the whole family would be like, Mandy, aa gayi hai. I just couldn't believe that families like this existed.
Oh, it must have been like a breath of fresh air for you.
It was. I mean, really, I couldn't believe that, there are families where, love is such a big value and you are so valued, and that's it. So when they said this is the way, pick one, either get married, stay back here.
It was an easy call.
It was actually an easy call for me. And then, Kuwait was so familiar to me anyway,
You were not
so-
going far from
Yeah, so I know the culture, I know how it was. So it was, it was a no-brainer choice.
But then was there a difference in Kuwait before marriage and Kuwait after marriage?
Completely different, because of course, so I got married into this great loving family, and I was so excited. It was a big, the big band, Baja, Barat. I had that kind of wedding in 900.
Indian wedding.
Yeah, I had it all, and also because I married into great, affluence. And when you're marrying for love, you don't ask all the pertinent questions. You don't ask, like, what's your bank balance?
After it was जरूरी होता है ना? When arranged marriage was there,
So
but you should see, like, कि मतलब बेटा क्या करता है, परिवार
Yeah, will you be able to take care of
property है कि नहीं है?
No, none of that actually. None of that. I had no idea. And I think, And I think also when you marry for love,
You feel like जो भी होगा देखा जाएगा.
And then I know that they're from Kuwait and no families around them. Everybody had great stuff to say about the family, So it happened very smoothly. And picture this, right? Because I'm in advertising and I'm like, it's a very, even back then.
Very competitive field.
Yeah, it's very competitive. You're out there. You really have to put yourself out there, and it's so creative. So I was super excited to move back, and I'll join a firm and have a great time. And as much as they loved me, Murphy, it came as a shock to me that when I moved back, I realized that daughter-in-laws of this family don't work. And it wasn't really it was not because they were backward or anything. It was simply that, because they were so affluent, the perception was that, oh my gosh, you guys are so affluent, but your daughter-in-law has to go to work to earn money. So it was completely unacceptable. So for me, there was a shock, because I grew up in a nuclear family. My mom was a very independent woman, and everybody around me worked. All the women work, middle class, everybody's working, to make ends meet. And here I am being told, "Aam to nahi kar sakte ho."
It's such a, hearing that, it's a very funny feeling, because yes, there is this notion in the Indian society, which is not there anymore, but it was there, that women don't work.
Right.
It's the man's job to earn for the family.
And take care of her,
Yeah. And it's the woman's role just to take care of the family. Of course, every, the section of society, the economic section of society, the various classes, they have their own take to it.
Correct.
And in the middle class, yes, everyone has to work. If you want to live the kind of lifestyle you're living, you need to, the income cannot come from just one person. So it kind of broke that barrier. But then on the other hand, middle class women had to not just work, but also come back home and work. So it's like, तुम बाहर जाके काम कर लो, लेकिन घर को भी संभालना है.
बिल्कुल.
Whereas a man had to just work and earn.
Right.
And this is a very different shift, where you're not working, not because of any other reason, but because it will not look good.
It's not perceived as something.
When you have enough money, why do you work?
Why do you need to work for
But then also the whole aspect that money still comes from the males and not the females.
Yeah, of course we had access to a lot of money, but the whole idea was that Moj mein raho, why do you need to work? You know, but the thing is, I really like, for me, it was creative juices. Like I wanted
You
to.
grew up in a place where you
Yeah.
had, like your conditioning is to go out
And also it's creative, right? So it's not only serving, you know, money-wise, but it's also taking care of everything, you know, my mind and everything, because it used to really, like, I used to love the advertising space. Loved it.
And so when you now are a married woman and you weren't allowed to work, did you work? Did you rebel, or did you just take it?
So initially I thought it was just like, oh, they're not being serious, you know? So I did go ahead and get a job in an advertising agency. And I went to work for 4 days and nobody in the house spoke to me.
Acha.
I was eating lunch alone by myself and I said, this is not workable for me, you know? Like, so I really had to kind of weigh the pros and cons. Itna pyar mil raha hai. There's so much of love being available to me, but, you know, but that means I have to drop this. So what do I do? And, you know, so you have to also think that I was 20 years old, right? 20, 21 years old. So also very naive, very young. You know, you haven't come into your own yet and you don't really understand integrity and all of that. So yeah, I chose to drop my career. And,
I can understand, because in our 20s, we only see what's in front of us.
Right.
And that kind of expands into everything. If ये ऐसा है तो जिंदगी भर ऐसे ही रहेगा. Only in hindsight, one will say that, you know, what if I'd stuck it out? What if I'd done this? I mean, people can accept. But at that moment, it just seems like whatever.
And also, you only had 20 years of a life experience.
Yeah.
But now looking back now, I feel that if I had stuck to my guns, because they did really truly love me, deeply love me, I think they would have come around.
They would have. I mean, love, one of the factors of love is to accept.
But see, when you come from so much of insecurity as far as family values and all, then you don't really know if they will stick around or they'll have your
It's like
back.
a threat is
Yeah,
always
so
there.
for me, this was, I mean, being loved and being taken care of was paramount.
But then tell me something. Come on, you're a person who has got such, matlab, I would say, amazing hyper energy. Okay, like you need to put yourself out there, do things. You're a very active person. You don't come across as la-di-da, sit down and I'll just, you know, chill.
So I played that mask for almost 10 years. I don't know if it was very convincing, but yeah. So I played the good daughter-in-law, the wife, the mother. I played it for a whole decade.
And how was that?
So, you know, the irony is that people think, wow, she's living such a good life. So it was like a golden cage, right? Because I had access to everything. You name it, homes, cars, jewelry. It was a good life. Perceived as a very good life. But I had this thing that, oh my gosh, I wish that I could create something of my own. So even though on the outside it looked so beautiful and so luxurious and what a dream life, right? But yeah, I was really incomplete. And I was also a misfit. I didn't always fit in because I grew up where, you know, it was just me, my family. I wasn't exposed to so much of socializing. And here, every day is a party, you know, and you have to constantly show up and to put that mask on. I mean, I tried, but I don't know how convincing I was.
Oh God, this
I don't know how convincing I was.
Don't kill me for saying this. It kind of reminds me of most of the Disney princesses. Like, you know, if you take, I'll take 2-3 random examples. Have you seen this movie Brave?
Of course, yeah. The one with the crazy mad girl. I think that's why you're thinking of Brave. It's my hair.
No, but she had this personality,
Yeah.
but the mother was like, "You're like a royal curse.
Though she reminds me of my daughter a lot.
The daughter comes from you."
Yeah.
Then Aladdin, Jasmine was always wanting to like step out and do things, or even Little Mermaid, like just be in your place. You know, we belong to a royal family, and they were like, no, but we have our own,
You know, identities, right? Yeah.
So
So it's not so unusual.
yeah, but it's very like it's like the royal curse or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, you actually went from working for means to an end to affluence and, you know, luxury. But it was still, as I said, a golden cage.
It was. It was very beautiful. There was a lot of love. But yeah, there was one piece of me that was really not being nurtured at all, you know. And see, I made the choice to drop it. It wasn't like it was, no one was choking me about it, but it was a choice that I made. But coming from what I knew and my life experience till then, when I connect the dots now, it fits.
Now it fits, but
Yeah.
at that time it would have been a big struggle.
I was so caught up in, you know, just behaving the right way and doing the right thing and saying the right stuff. I don't think I had any space to really sit and, I wasn't suffering or anything, you know.
But then that also sounds like an aspect of bottling up, no? Ki kuch cheez is not being addressed.
Haan.
So it just keeps accumulating in the background.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's why that's the time actually in my life, because see, advertising is very different, right? It's all very mechanical and you're doing it on your computer systems. Even though when I was doing it, it was all done by hand.
And
But it's advertising, right? It's commercial art. It's not fine art. And I think at this point in my life is where I actually discovered my love for painting.
that's where you found your...
Yeah, because it's so tangible and all of that. So yeah, I definitely feel like my expression of, my expression through art has come because of that time and what I went through and just being so in love. It was a, like an amalgamation of all of this, I think, which brought out that creativity. And then I was painting the walls of the house and, things
And
like
had no
that.
issues with that?
No. I told you, it's a great loving family. Just don't go to work.
Okay, so now let's move into this aspect. Like, this seems like the first moment,
Yeah.
I would say, or that first time period where you began to explore something that was truly your own. And as I mentioned earlier in the introduction, because I know that about you, is that you now are a very ardent, expressionist through your paintings, through your crochet work and biking. And what I want to know is like, how did these begin? I understand painting started as
Yeah.
like something a way to just be yourself.
Yeah.
Where does biking and crochet kind of fit in?
It's amazing actually, because see, when you grow up in Kuwait, it's not like you're growing up around motorcycles. It's not like your father's riding a motorcycle or your brother's riding motorcycles, And also, it's illegal for women to ride motorcycles. So I'm talking about the 80s and the 90s, right? And forget about riding motorcycles, Murphy. You couldn't sit pillion. And वहाँ पे deport कर देते हैं. They put you on a plane and they send you back from where you came. So there was no possibility. But I don't know where I had this thing that I want to ride motorcycles.
Then how did it begin?
So I had to move back. So we had a big breakdown with the business and we moved back. So a decade into me having the kids and being married, we moved back to India. And that's the opportunity for me to learn to ride motorcycles. So that's where it came. And I said, I need to find somebody who can teach me how to ride a motorcycle. And I had this neighbor who had this Bullet, right? And I don't recommend anybody's first motorcycle be a 500cc motorcycle, but that's all I had access to. And that's how I learned to ride. And once I sat on the motorcycle, there was no getting off. Like,
So wait,
the journey.
neighbor's bike,
Yeah, it was my neighbor's bike.
guy or girl,
It was a guy.
and he was perfectly cool with you just
Yeah.
taking his bike experiment
He
on it.
wasn't going to put up with any of my nonsense of I'm scared and this and that. So just get on the bike and just ride. He would sit behind me and we would just he didn't give me any option. And actually, for me, he was the perfect mentor. So I started.
You just needed confidence. Someone.
I just needed someone to just be sitting behind me and say, I got this, tu chala,
And that's the best way to learn.
Hana?
I mean, I have been taught that way, so I completely.
There's no looking back. From day one, there was no looking back. Then I started riding and then all the other stuff came along.
So okay, I'm going to now catch each one of these passions of yours and take it a little ahead to a tangent. You started riding. Where did this riding take you?
It took me to places I never thought possible. So I started riding just for me, right?
Yeah.
But it moved me so much that I think your environment also. I really believe the universe has my back. So like I found this guy who taught me to ride. There was also another neighbor who had started this US. So they were American motorcycles for rent in India. It was a revolutionary idea. I'm talking about 2015, 2016, right? So I went to them and I said, what? Hey, what? Consider that there might be other women like me. So nobody wants to give a chick a motorcycle. You can't go and learn
This was
on the road. Yeah, 2016. You can't go learn on the road and who sikhayega?
And end up to this traffic coming.
Yeah, who's going to teach you, right? And he said, what? We're running this, they were running this motorcycle rental. And these were big motorcycles, right? The Harley Davidsons, the Triumphs, Ducatis. They used to have these really big motorcycles. So I couldn't possibly consider training on those. So he said, if you can pull it together, if you can put an academy together, you can use our name as a US brand. And
Pause. He said, if you can pull an academy together.
yeah, I ran the first ever all-women's motorcycle training.
Maybe I should start with that.
Yeah, but that's where it came from. It came from that heart, right, Murphy? कि मुझे कुछ मिला है. How do I give this to the world? It really came from that heart.
So
Simple.
from borrowing your neighbor's bike
Yeah,
and most probably giving silent heart attacks behind,
I'm sure.
you went on to riding for yourself,
Yes, I did.
and then you started a motorcycle or a biking academy
Yes, for women.
for women.
Yeah. And again, I just, when you don't know any better, you think you're invincible. So I went to M3M. I said, hey, can you give me some land? And us time pe where I stay. So I stay on the Golf Course Extension Road. It was all empty. 10 years ago, there was nothing there, right? So they gave me 3-4 acres of land. I went and I got somebody to sponsor 2 motorcycles, 100cc Willy motorcycles. I got that. And it started so organically. And Murphy, you know this about me. I've played so many roles in my life, right? Of course, this mother, wife, everything, daughter-in-law, what I do at work. But training women to ride motorcycles has been the most fulfilling. Women would take off their helmets after the first ride and they would be bawling. There would be tears and they would be crying because they were like,
Because they've never done
it's an impossible dream, right?
Yeah.
Women riding motorcycles back then, 10 years ago, was an impossible dream. Kaun sikhayega, kaun bike dega, So creating that for them, and it came from a heart of somebody did this for me. So it's
I
like a give back,
I'll be honest, I can still imagine girls riding bikes
Yeah.
10 years ago. But when I say girls, I mean people who are in their late teens or early 20s.
Yeah, so you'd be surprised to know that I wasn't training women who were younglings. They were not 20s and 30s. So women who were coming to me, they started training. I had women from 40s, 50s. I trained a 61-year-old who today rides a KTM Adventure 390. That's my dream motorcycle.
Can I send my mom thing?
Did you come? But yeah, see that, to create that, what could be more fulfilling than that, So yeah.
That's why I connect to now what you said, that they would be bawling because when they were young and when they were like growing, I don't even think like the option was given or even perceived कि अच्छा घर में बेटा बेटी है अब बेटा चल तो बाइक ला ले. It was not like that for the girls. Yeah, okay, you can take the bike and go.
So even some of the ladies that would come their families were not very happy that they were coming to the academy, and especially the super.
How dare you do something that?
Why do you want to
Right,
risk?
that
You're
is
60, you're 61. Do you really need to break a bone now? And take.
Okay, that's fair enough. Health is a fair reason.
No, but the reality is on the last session we used to have this whole breakfast right at the end to kind of celebrate her whole journey, and he gifted her the motorcycle. The same husband that was just like, why do you need to do this? Like, what is this midlife crisis you're going through? But yeah, so it was a beautiful time. I did that for about a year and a half, 2 years.
But if I had to ask you, give me one line as to what biking is to you. I know you got into it and you gave it to the world, but what was it for you?
I don't know. I know these are all very cliche.
Very, very
Freedom.
Sorry, I had to ask.
But it is that. It is really that. Like I share with you, for me, there are so many times in my helmet where I'm just crying. And I'm not crying out of anything. It's just happiness. I remember when I was riding down Nubra. So of course, the first ride I did out of town, मैंने कहा अब चलानी सीख ली, अब कहाँ जाएंगे ले जाएंगे. That was my first motorcycle
That was the
ride.
concept of 0 to 100 in like 30 seconds, right?
That's me. I'm like all in, all bust. So, and I remember, so Nubra is a beautiful part of when you do the Ladakh ride, and it was just like I was riding, and when you're riding in Leh, the next person, even though you're in a group, he might be 3-4 kilometers behind you. The next guy is.
So you went as a group.
So you're really, we went as a group of women, all women, and then there's nobody really around, and there's these scary river crossings, and I remember Nubra, there's these dunes on the side, and there's the beautiful monastery district, and it was like if I had to capture that picture, nobody would believe it's real. The rays of the sun were coming on this beautiful, it's a 100-foot Buddha statue, and I'm just riding by myself, and I was like, I have no reason to be living this life. Like, what gives me the right to live this life? I was 45. And here I'm riding motorcycles. This is what I'm looking at. Aur kya chahiye, right? Like, aur kya chahiye? Like, it was the most humbling, heart full of gratitude moment. So whenever somebody tells you, picture something that was one of your best moments, I go back to this.
Have you ever painted this?
I haven't. Actually, I haven't. How bizarre. No, now you give me another idea, okay?
Because as we're describing it, I could just imagine it not as a photograph, but as one of your paintings.
Yeah, I should. It was.
And this is
so
the picture
visual for me.
Comes to your mind every time someone asks you, like,
Yeah. Think of a nature.
be on your canvas.
Yeah.
Now, crochet कहाँ से शुरू हुआ फिर? Like bike?
Crochet. तो यही तो है ना तुम.
And you won an award for this.
Yeah.
So let's start with that. What award did you win?
So I had a Guinness World Record. So it was a record that was given to many Indian women. So Indian women across the globe. So whether you're sitting in New Zealand or India or Australia, wherever you were,
As long as you're
as long as you're a woman of Indian origin, you had to craft these 2-foot by 2-foot crochet squares. And but of course, so I couldn't stop at one. I made 16. But
you went 6-0. Just
because I was so excited about this, and it was such a community thing to do. Otherwise, crochet is a very, it's a very individualistic kind of activity, right? You just sit alone and you're sitting and you just crochet. So, there's this part of me that's this, oh my God, badass motorcyclist, biker, right? But I'm also that granny who I can just sit and crochet alone for hours. So, and we created the largest crochet blanket in the world. I think it was 5 kilometers. So all of these pieces came to New Delhi. We went to India Gate. We sat and we sewed all of these together. And then, of course, they come in.
So how many men were there?
I don't remember.
Roughly 100s, 200s, 500s.
Must have been a couple of hundred, I think. Yeah.
And in that, you had the maximum.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I was saying is that it was something that India has that record.
Yeah, but 60 squares. What were you doing?
I'm like that. I'm like a machine, when I'm doing it. But yeah, but crochet also
happened?
is my go-to. So it wasn't just dumped; it was actually dismantled, or what's the word? They kind of broke it up into pieces that were long enough for a single person. So then they were distributed.
Oh, wow.
They were given away to people who needed it. So it was a fantastic time. It was a beautiful time. And I mean, I recommend crochet or any kind of art form to everybody because anything that's so meditative, it just takes you away from all of the nonsense, right? And you're just in the moment. Like with motorcycling. Like you couldn't really be thinking about anything else, you're so present. It's just you, the road.
I took to crocheting, but for me, it was not meditative. For me, it was more like a challenge. I mean, there was a time I was really into it and made a lot of things, but then after that, I was like, I'm okay. But no, man, I mean, but none of this paid the bill, did it?
No.
Like you said that you came back to India because the business broke down. And in a way, it worked in your favor because you got the space again to do things.
Yeah.
So did you take any of this and also kind of, I mean, it's a very bad word to say commercialize it, but yes, like let your passion kind of feed you also kind of thing.
So the motorcycling academy, of course, did. I mean, of course, I used to. It was priced well and it was fulfilling. So that for some time, but also through all of this time since I moved back, I've been in the space of corporate training. So I do behavioral skill training, and even though it's a very box space, Murphy, I mean, you know how creative I am. Even though it's a very boxy space, I still love it because I love people, right? Like I love listening to people's stories, and this gives me the opportunity to do that. So I've been training
as a
well, back in the days, 15, I mean, it's going to be 15 years for me in July. 15 years ago, koi aise certificate nahi hota tha, koi certification. You just got there, spoke from your experience.
life was your trainer.
Life was the study. And and I still love that space. I still do it. I still love it. Of course, it's really evolved. Training just as an industry is really evolving because now we're talking about things like psychological safety, understanding cultures. Leadership is no longer push-pull like we used to have. It's about what does the situation demand of me. So it's become very centric to the human. And that's why I love it so much. And then it's behavioral, right?
Yeah.
It's so exciting and so relevant.
But then you were doing well with the academy, right?
I did that for about a year and a half.
Why did it stop?
So I think after a while I realized that I wanted to write for myself. Like I really cherish that part of it.
Kind of took away from your own personal.
Because it can be very distracting, because especially as a woman rider, you get called in a lot, you get a lot of attention because it's not the usual, it's out of the norm, it looks very cool. And I just realized very, very early that I didn't want to do these group rides and all. I used to really enjoy it solo or with one or two other people, because that, I don't know, the experience is very different. There's no agenda. You're just riding. Jahan pe rukna hai, ruk gaye. I like the site. I want to stay here for a little while, So it's not about the miles. So I've done the whole Leh to Kanyakumari, right? And I remember I did this ride, which was the South Coastal ride. So we went down the west coast. So we started from Goa, we went down to Kanyakumari, came back up to Chennai. And we had a lot of international riders on this. So this was a group ride, but it was a small group. I think there were 5 or 6 of us on this. And I realized after some time that for a lot of, and these were riders who've ridden across the globe. Okay, they've done around the globe couple of times, And
around the globe.
unke liye kya hai? Yeah, so unke liye kya tha? It was about the miles. How many miles can we get done in a day? And I realized, but for me, it's about, oh my God, can you believe how beautiful this tree is? Look at the bird, So I just realized that my agenda when I'm riding is very different from maybe what another person's is. It's about getting to the destination. What's the max miles? Can I do 400 kilometers today? But for me, I realized I love to see, I love to stop, I love to speak to the dhaba wala and the chai wala. I'm really interested in what does your everyday look like for you,
As I said, your whole journey is about being deeply rooted to human connections.
Connections, yeah.
Be it biking, be it painting, be it crochet. Like the Guinness World Record was out of community.
But also it was a community thing, yeah.
So, where do we stand now? Now that you have looked back, and I love this saying that you constantly, I mean, she's often said, I don't know why she hasn't said till now, like looking back in hindsight, vision is 2020. With that 2020 vision, we have understood that you have found yourself in these very independent, individual passions and skills: biking, crocheting, painting. It's about you and what comes through you, be it the handle of a bike, be it a crochet needle, be it a paintbrush.
True.
And then you found a way to get people involved in it. Either you are getting them to learn how to ride a bike, or you are working on the world's biggest giant blanket together. And now it's about connecting with women who have faced or are facing the same struggles in different packages. For each one of them, it looks different. But somewhere it connects, and you're connecting with them with every stroke of the brush. I want to know more about that. Like, what is this amazing space that you have built?
So this is like, when you say passion project, this is what's got my goat right now. Like, I'm so excited about this space. It's got my whole heart, because like, I've been through it. I think whatever you've been through, it's very easy to connect with somebody else or empathize, with somebody going through that. So 2 years ago, I hit menopause, and for anybody that doesn't understand it, good luck. I think all the men and all your children should do some study. What a woman is going through, when she's going through menopause. It is a very scary time. So Murphy, picture this. I'm somebody who takes off. I'm gone for 7 days. Nobody knows where I am. Safe, I should call once a day. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I had become somebody who could not leave the house. I could not be left alone in the house. One of my daughters had to stay with me. I had become so afraid because मेरे को समझ ही नहीं आ रहा था. I just wasn't able to understand. I used to keep telling people, I'm not well, something is not working for me. I was like running around like a headless chicken. कभी CT scan करा रहे हो, कभी MRI करा रहे हो, gynecologist, cardiologist, you name it. And, I think, when I went through it about 4 years ago, women weren't talking about it so much. And I think I've been one of the real, torchbearers of conversations around menopause, because every woman is going to go through this, different levels. And there's no reason for us not, to be so in the dark about it. I was at Singapore airport on the floor crying. My husband didn't know what to do with me. Like, nobody could do anything for me. It was such a scary time for me. And look at who I was.
Done?
Of course, I think just the fact that you have awareness, and there are options now. There are natural options and options which are more, hormone based. But at least let the woman know, make sure that she is informed and she understands what her choices are. But not to know is very scary, because your body is trying to tell you something. Something's going on. And you cannot explain it to anybody else. I would be just pacing in the house. So now I have a lot of empathy for women. And I think what's happening now is through all the work that I'm doing, meditation, and even this art piece that I've started doing, art mentorship. I always resisted it for so many years. मुझे art teacher नहीं बनना, And this has become magic for me. This place is magic because now women are coming. And when I speak about women, I'm talking about women in their 45 to 65. I have 70-year-olds also in the community. But women are really up till here with stuff that they want to share. And there's no place really to share it. Most places, they've got masks on, everybody's judging you, or you're thinking that I'm being judged. Very few.
Even a social group where, say, in a community, women get together for walks or whatever, even there they'll be wearing masks because the fear of being
You
judged.
show up, I think it's just conditioning, and I think culturally, हमारे में थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही है, But just to create these safe spaces and experiences. Like, so recently I ran this thing about how I made. I ran it through a meditation, because I love doing the meditation piece or a movement piece and then having a conversation, right? Because then it kind of drives the conversation and opens up something maybe you've not looked at for decades. So I had them go back and visit the young girl that they were, what were her dreams like? Who did she want to be? And the idea is not to beat yourself up, oh, मुझे तो ये बनना था, लेकिन मैं वो नहीं बनी. It's about honoring that journey, like for me, connecting the dots. If I had never left Kuwait, I would still be her. Even though it was very unpleasant the way I came here, but look at my life today. Look what became possible for me, right? So just to have that space to pause, think, just honor your journey till now as a woman. Everything that you've been to. I mean, there's so many. I do this river of becoming exercise, where they look at everything, the struggles, who stood by me, what was going on, what were some of my wins. We even forget that. So really to honor that journey.
Yeah, I can like you proud for that. Like how you just stumbled upon, in the academy. I'm like, hey, what academy?
Yeah. And then now let's look at, अब क्या आगे क्या करना है? Like, let's design that part of our lives, So I use movement, meditation, art, things like that. And the stories are just so heartwarming. Like, there's so much of love and
Is there a conscious end goal or outcome for this, for this thing that they step into?
I really want them to walk away with, even if it is something as simple as looking at. So I did another thing about, still me, despite everything I'm going through, this is who I am. Then I did one recently for shedding layers. And what happens is we become a certain, and this is, I think, not gender specific. I think this is for men also, where we've learned to become a certain way. Like, this is a way of being, right? Because of whatever circumstances, childhood mein tha, school mein, kaam,
Everyone is given a role.
you become, and you become a certain way. But what happens is we carry that way of being Murphy into situations which no longer are the same. So maybe then who I had to be, if I had to be somebody who has to be very strong and just show up for my family, today maybe I no longer need to be that person. Now I want to bring more grace into my life. I want to bring more feelings and connection and relationships. That time it made sense for me to be strong and just forward thinking and like a crusader. But it might not make sense. But kya ho gaya? Wo habit ho gayi.
Habit.
It's just become a way of being. And
When
look,
did you realize that it has become a habit?
10 years ago, I realized that I am still being this person.
No, why? What triggered it?
I'll tell you why. So when I started writing, people came to me about this, right? Okay, wow, you're so inspirational. Can you come and do a motivational? I do a lot of women leadership workshops. And I'm telling you, they're only calling me because of the whole motorcycle angle, right? But now, for me, motorcycling doesn't represent empowerment. For me, it was self-expression. For teaching women, it was, I want to ride, just ride.
Yeah.
There's no agenda about proving men wrong or, I like men. So see, that became a way of being, right? I had to be someone really strong, get on a motorcycle, heavy motorcycle, ride it, not only ride it, train other women. I had to be a certain way of being. But now 10 years later, I want there to be more grace. Like, I want to be the person that people can open up to. I want to create a space where you feel safe कि यहाँ पे मैं अगर share करूँगी, I'll feel like they've got my back. Even if, and we're not looking for solutions a lot of the time, especially as women. It's about sharing. It's not someone having to come in and give me a solution. Ki tu ye karegi na, and this is the outcome. It's really about being heard now.
Find your own solution.
Yeah, and just to get them thinking. And it's a beautiful space. There's so much possibility in this space.
I'm going back to that because I don't know why I'm a little stuck there. I still am trying to figure out. I feel I could be wrong that something triggered it.
Triggered what?
This, which is like life was very repetitive, and you didn't realize it was repetitive till,
I realized, I think a lot of us are doing a lot of learning and study, and I had also been through a transformative course myself. It was almost over a year. And I got present to a lot of the stuff then. Okay, I had become this way because this is what my circumstances were, so I had to become this way.
So by seeing other lives as well, like it was like a self-awareness through observation.
Because it's no longer serving me. Why am I still being this person?
Because I would guess, I'm not going to end up in a box of mansplaining here. So I'll take just assumptions that what for some women it could be because they live their entire life being moms and taking care of their children. When the children are capable, they say that parenting ka the best thing about being a parent, or not the best thing I would say, you've been great parents when the children no longer need you.
Yeah.
So the best parenting is when you are able to make your children self-reliant and self-sufficient. But when they do that, your role kind of gets over. So one trigger I would assume is when moms no longer feel that they have a role to play in
empty nesters. So a lot of the women that I work with are empty nesters. Because if you're in your 50s, chances are your children are grown up, they're either married or they've gone off to college. And this is the time in their lives that there's a lot of emptiness. Now you're on your own and you're looking at her, mereko kya karna tha? What was the game plan for me, right? And women they are open, they are pivoting not just from corporates, they're even pivoting in their careers. They're taking on things that they thought was motorcycling, like who the heck does motorcycling at 50, So things that they were passionate about, they're bringing, and women are pivoting. They're pivoting in careers, they're pivoting in life choices. All of this is going on. And I think it's...
And you're helping them through your own experience and a shared experience
to
understand that this is a natural progression.
And it's possible.
It's possible. This doesn't again, I don't want guns pointing at you, but doesn't working in corporates and doing these training sessions kind of pale in front of all of this?
It does, but I also love it. I don't bash it up because it pays my bills, Murthy, and I have a lot of gratitude for that. And like I said, I love people's stories. So the way I do my facilitation is very different from your regular training. The idea is not to go and just vomit out all of these models and techniques and tools and all of that. It's really about, let's look at this and see, does it fit in? So I do a lot of art of storytelling for business leaders. Okay? These are people who are almost 30 years of experience running teams and leading teams, right? To talk to them about, let's use storytelling. It's so much fun.
And you bring in those same skills in these art sessions where
Yeah. So sometimes I take from here and plug it into this. Sometimes I take from this and plug it into that. Yeah.
just like life.
Yeah.
So it's been a while now that you've been like creating these spaces where women can find a place to be and belong, where they can pause, take a break. How and I know from what you've been saying that journey has been very fruitful and it's like a game changer, right? And that's what's kind of prompted you and pushed you to like making this into something more solid, more concrete, with longevity in it. So, aaj ke waqt pe, like in today's day and time, what does that look like? What is that you're doing? What's your next agenda?
Yeah, so what I'm up to now is I'm running it through workshops or sessions. The idea very soon will be, within a few
Is it all offline?
Right now, I like the human connection of it still. But I do get a lot of requests of, hey, I'm sitting in the US and I'm sitting in Dubai and I want to be a part of this. How do I become a part of this? Is to take it online. But right now, it's very hands-on, very human to human, heart to heart. So I have workshops. I am part of other people's retreats where they'll call me in and say, can you create this experience for
Yeah,
me?
we're going to be a part of Athaish retreats as well, huh?
Yeah.
And they put it out there for
Sounds good.
everyone to know that when you go on to these wellness tours that we're going to pick up,
Yeah.
she's going to be there.
So yeah, whether it's art, movement, meditation, बहुत मजा आएगा. And then of course is to create retreats where I take them out of the city, just out of their daily living to experience something, just completely different. Because otherwise we'll just come back to it and you're just back in the same old. You have a workshop for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you come back and you're dealing with
आज मैं नहीं करा, छोड़ दिया, वापस आ
Haan,
गया.
the idea is, even if it's something that you've seen for the first time, or it's a thought you've had that you haven't had before, and this happens all the time.
Yeah.
You can get an idea that you have never had before. I've experienced it. Something that I never thought was possible before. Why not? Like, there's no stop, really.
I'm going to now bring this all to a beautiful conclusion. But before I, send you off, what is it that one thing that you want to share with our audience? One thing that you want to let them know, especially the women who can connect with you, whom you can connect with. What is that one thing you want to let them know?
Yeah, I just think as women, just to remember that you can be anybody you want to be. It doesn't matter, really. It's so cliche about age is a number, but it really is. You can really find a way of being, learn how to just pause, reflect, and reconnect and create and design a life that for you would be so beautiful. It's possible. And I'm here. You can find me. Murphy knows how to get in touch with me. Come by for a session, experience it, see what opens up for you.
On that note, this has truly been a wonderful journey, even for me. I mean, as you've been sharing your story, I've just been kind of, lost in its own visuals in my mind. I'm so envious of those women because I would so want to be a part of all these
I
things.
just realized, I always do this thing for women. The academy was only women now, but the heart's
It's
in the
your
women.
calling. It's your calling.
Heart's in the women because that's my life experience. Na?
You love men, but you can be very bad. So that's perfectly fine. Even if I can get to observe this as a spectator, I'm perfectly fine. But that doesn't stop me from being truly envious that such an amazing opportunity is there. But that shouldn't stop anyone out there to not, take a chance at this and take a chance at yourself. So yeah, on that note, I really appreciate you coming here and taking out time to not just talk about yourself and your journey, which is in itself such a magical experience, but to let everyone else out there know that it's never too late to step into your own. Everyone's playing roles. Men, women, everybody are playing roles. But that doesn't mean you have to be defined by them. And doesn't mean that you can't get to choose your roles. And you're such an amazing example of that.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful, Murphy. I don't know if you hear this enough, but the fact that you're creating this space, conversations like this, and making stuff like this open for the world it's tremendous. It's a lot.
Thank you so
So
much.
thank you for creating that space.
And I look forward to your sessions. And I'm going to make sure that the world out there knows how to get to you.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have you. So come on by.
Thank you.